I'm a big believer in like bridging people together, bringing people together, people from different backgrounds, and kind of just being like the mediator or so. And that's one of the things I like being in community, is you get to see different people in their own atmosphere, and you see these relations, and you see the similarities, and then you make that connection and bring people together.
Understanding my role as a trans woman, I had to think about that every day of my life, and so. If the trans community is there and it exists, and I just choose maybe not to be a part of it, or maybe it's not vibrant enough for me to join it or be a part of it, that's something I would love to change about it, is for it to be more visible, for it to be more, it exists, and there are, benefits to engage with that community. There's benefits to grow and share in that community. But right now, for me specifically, I don't see it, or I don't feel a part of it. Mm-hmm.
I think I have learned from a lot of people to start to see who is not in the room when I'm in different places, and have really learned a lot from the queer community as a whole, from the trans community, about there are a lot of people who are just not included in our spaces right now. Black trans people, Indigenous trans people. There's a lot of people that are just on the margins, and so I guess I've just been trying to be really attuned and seeing in the spaces that I'm in if those spaces are accepting of all people and not just the people that look like me.
Without our two spirits, or without our, LGBTQ plus community in this circle, the circle isn't a complete circle. The circle isn't complete without us. So I feel like when you exclude our community, our queer community, our two-spirit community from that circle, you're doing a disservice, and you're also showing how you've been colonized. Because it wasn't until colonization came by that forced us into hiding and made it so even our own people turned against us. So what I like to stress is you're not traditional if you're homophobic. You're just not. And that you can do your studies and you can look back into history, and it shows that two spirits are blessed, that we're here, and that we deserve a spot in the community. So I feel like it's my responsibility to create some events where it is safe and people can come together, be themselves. My hope is to have the young ones take this over.
Inclusion looks like spaces that are very diverse and accepting of all people in the room. I think there is a lot of work that still needs to be done, especially in media when it comes to representation of the queer community too. I think about it a lot. I identify as gay, but I'm also, when people first look at me, I'm just a white man, How do we be more inclusive of the queer community and bring in more people of color, people who don't look like me, There have been movements and ways media has tried to get better, but it's still very stereotypical of one type of queer person. So I think including people, we need a lot more work.
Some of these spaces, it's like you can't show up as, at least I didn't feel comfortable showing up with all that I was. I'm Black, I am queer, I come from a working class, financially poor family, all those different identities. It's like I had to compartmentalize myself to show up in different communities. If I was in the queer community, sometimes it's a little too white, so I couldn't talk the way I want to talk. Like, I got to use certain language in order to be understood. And my critique is just that there's this a lack of truthfulness that I see in Minneapolis, because people want to not shake the waters too much. They want to appear liberal and progressive on the outside, but not understanding that we cannot get to a place of peace without confronting the things that don't allow us peace, which means that we have to speak up, that we have to be honest, we have to be willing to brave the challenges and the scariness, I think, of being truly honest with all that we're navigating.
I think increased representation, I think voices being heard is really important. And I think being able to exist in spaces as who we are, in our skin, without fear of retribution for existing, I think is thriving in the Twin Cities. And it seems far off, but I'm hopeful that a lot of the actions that are happening right now in the Twin Cities are going to make a difference.
One thing you will always know is who you are deep down. You just have to listen to that voice and let that voice get louder. Always let it get louder until you're screaming it at the mountaintops, saying, "This is who I am. I am proud to be who I am. I'll always be honest to who I am as a person." And if I was told that at a younger age, I'd probably be even more outspoken than I am now. I'd be much more confident than I have been in the past. And I think that would just would make me a more involved advocate too.
And I get a lot of passion and satisfaction from working with specifically LGBTQ, but also Q-BIPOC, so Q-BIPOC communities, and providing them the support that, quite frankly, I never had growing up. And so my motto has always been, be the adult you needed when you were young, and so I strive to be that adult for our young populations that are unsheltered and are in need of support and services, whether they be queer or indigenous or an intersectionality of both.